Hey guys, this is Nia. Welcome back to my channel. Today I will be sharing with you guys these very easy flower doodles, so let's get started. The main shape of the flowers are the typical 5-petal flower that we used to all draw when we were kids, but this time I'm going to draw them out in different angles. And by the way, this is totally optional. This painting will still look cute even if you only paint the first one that I drew repeatedly as a pattern or just as a painting. So what I'm doing here is just drawing out possible angles, playing around with the angle of the petal and the flower until I feel comfortable with them. Notice that the opening of the flower will always either be a circle or an oval shape depending on the angle. If it's facing away from you or isn't in full bloom, think of the overall shape as a bowl because the petals are closed off and the other side of the flower isn't overly visible from your side. If this is uncomfortable for you to draw, you can try drawing the circles or the ovals first as a guide, then filling it in with the petals, and hopefully this would help. To finish off the flowers, I'm just going to add tiny little lines in the middle as the pistils if the flower isn't facing straight at you. However, if the flower is facing you in full bloom, then I draw or paint dots to represent the middle of the flower. Last but not least, I'm just going to add a long stem and just the basic leaf shapes that I've covered in a previous video. If you're comfortable with this already, we can go ahead and swatch the colors. If not, I suggest getting used to the shapes first or take the easier option of sticking to one angle. Now let's get to the colors. I chose simple colors for this one. Personally, I really like this combination, but of course, as usual, you can make any color combination you want. For the flower, I chose a mixture between orange and cadmium red, and for the leaves, it's just a simple mixture of radiant and cobalt blue to make a really nice turquoise color for the stem and the leaves. For the middle of the flower, I'm just going to use purely black, so I'm not going to swatch it. When you are ready to use your brush, you can practice by drawing out the ovals or the bowl shapes for the flowers, but instead of drawing out the petals with pencil as we have previously practiced, go ahead and try to paint the petals one by one according to the angle of the oval or the bowl. Keep repeating the shapes until you are comfortable, then finish off those flowers with the stem and the leaves. For the stem, I'm just going to use the very tip of my brush and slowly pulling the paint down. Don't worry about breaking the line, you can continue slowly from where you've ended it. As for the leaves here, I'm just using one stroke for the leaves, but you can do it however you want or however you're used to it. If you want more info on how to paint leaves, I do have a video on it and I will link it on the description box. I tried to film closer for the leaves so you can see the pressure I'm putting on my brush as I paint. As for the middle of the flower, try painting it the same way as you have painted the stem, but use black instead of the green mixture and just do very thin lines or dots. Make sure the black is quite opaque or vibrant to complement the orange and make the flower pop. Once you're ready to paint, try to map out what you want to paint first in your mind. I personally like to start on the flowers first. I distribute the flowers randomly and the stem and leaves will follow afterwards. This doodle is so fun and easy and would look very nice on a full page. At the end of this video, I painted a fuller version of this and I sped it up just so you can see the final results quickly. I didn't do a full page, but this is how I would go about it if I were to paint it as a pattern. I personally like this doodle a lot because you can just keep repeating the same shapes and the same colors over and over again so easily, and I'm pretty sure everyone is familiar enough with this type of 5-petaled flower, as that's probably what most of us were taught to draw as flowers from preschool. The only difference is now we are using brushes and watercolors, and we're trying to vary the angle slightly. So as a tip for beginners, try to take what is familiar to you and practice by turning it into a pattern, and it would be considered as practice to gain a little bit of experience with a new medium. As for the stem, I suggest you try to paint this slowly, and for exercise you can try practicing how to paint thin lines repeatedly. And just as a hint, try to use a nice consistency of paint that would glide easily on paper. This means to not put too much water, that the paint would come pouring out of the tip of the brush, creating a thick line, because the more water you have in your brush, the more uncontrollable it is. But you also don't want it to be too dry either, that your paint won't transfer on paper. So find this consistency and try to repeat it. So that's it. I think that's all I have to say for this tutorial. I'll leave you guys to it. I hope you guys try to paint along with this, and I'll see you at the end of the video. So we finally come to this part that I previously talked about. As for this one, I approached it quite similarly as the one before, but this time I paint more flowers in the beginning and try to distribute it fairly evenly. Although it doesn't have to be perfect, the stem and the leaves should follow the flowers, and if you feel like there are spots to be filled, you can add more flowers. If not, just add more stem and leaves to fill it up, and it'll be completely fine. By the way, this would also work great as a wreath, and I'll just let you guys decide what you do with this simple doodle. If any of you guys decide to give this a go, I would love to see the results. So as usual, you can tag me on Instagram at IG_nianiani and I'd take a look. So anyway, that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys learned something new. Have a good day or night depending on where you are from, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye!